Hi all, welcome back. I am Vishwanath. This video is a part of database series videos where earlier we covered installation of SSMS, discussed on converting business requirements to various designs like conceptual, logical, physical, and later we have used SSMS in order to create the diagrams and as well as the scripts. In today's video, we will be mainly focusing on insert and select queries where our agenda will typically be inserting rows into couple of tables with all columns or without columns or single row or multiple rows or from another table, and also we will also cover like select queries with single column, some columns, or all columns, or columns that are not there in uh, same table. And we can use various types of expressions like we can also use like a distant count length. We will discuss all these things in a very detail. Without any delay, let's get started. S- let's start with our table. If you look into the diagram, most of the tables are dependent upon address. So let's start with our inserting the data in address. And so in order to insert the data into address, we need to use insert into command, and we have to mention like the table name. Table name over here is an address where in the first step we will be mentioning like address column names. Because we have set a constraint for primary key which is auto generated. That is the reason I am not mentioning the primary key. Uh, and rest of the fields apart from primary key, I'm just mentioning it like address 1, address 2, address 3, address 4, and country and postcode. And now I'm interested in supplying these values. So let me say that for first record, I want to insert it for the university. So I'll just say like learn university is an address. Don't worry about this value, whether this value exists or not. For now, let's focus on how to insert the data rather than validating whether that's the right address or not, because I'm randomly entering it, and I'm just trying to say like this university belongs or present in Delhi address, and I can give the postcode as uh, DH123456, some random number, and instead of typing India, I'll just represent it to be an India. So this is one way of addressing the details where we are mentioning all the columns name. And if we want to mention without any columns name, we can still do that by not mentioning these details. I'll just change the data. I'll just say like learn, and they probably a play university. I can just say randomly like a 2134 wood. Uh, even I'll just mention as a wood. Uh, Let it be Chennai, Chennai. So I'll just make this as CH. 333 and India. So the this is an sample one. So we will also insert data into the address. I mean, we will also insert a few addresses which are related to the students. So for student details, we can I can just mention like like I can copy these details, and I'll just go over here, and I can just say like because I want to insert it onto the student, I will just be mentioning like student address, uh, student student address, student address and some some number, random number, uh, where I can say as somewhere he might be present somewhere. It can be in, again I'll just mention as a Chennai, and I'll just give this as C1 1 2 3 4, and over here I'll just say as okay. So this is my student address because I want to give multiple students, not just one student. I'll be copy pasting this value, and because I'm trying to give as a multiple students, I have to mention like a comma for it, and it should be the other student, another student address. It can be some random number. It can be anywhere. Um, I can also use null because these values on the database are being passed as null values, and this can even be null. And uh, what I will be doing is I- I'll be saying as a different country, CA, and over here as well as a CA. So uh, postcode cannot be null, so somewhere can be null. So what I'll be doing is, in order to make it as multiple copies without I'm trying to insert multiple rows, where I'll just give this to be a different number, student address, another student, instead of saying like another student, I'll just say like teacher address, teacher address, and another teacher address. Instead of student, I'll just say as a teacher address, where it can be some random number. Don't worry about the values of this number, and I'll just say like ZA postcode is ZA, country uh, is let us say like a Newark, NY, and Newark, or let it be CA, and let this be uh, like this for now. And if I run all these queries, I should be able to see like all the data in the result set. If you see it, you see all the data has been completed successfully. So in this way, we can use insert queries, whether you want to insert into single row with all mentioning all the columns, or not. Sometimes there will be a requirement where you have to define in such a way that you have to mention the primary keys. So in that case, what we have to do is explicitly we have to say like identity, whatever the identity that we are trying to say as set identity underscore insert on a particular table to be on, so that we can go for inserting the data. In order to give that as an example, I can just be typing that set identity underscore insert. So this is the command, and probably I'll be using another table like demo category, where I'll be saying like on. So when I say on, now I'll be able to insert the datas. So the reason why I have picked this table is it has very less data to insert. uh, Demo category. Probably I can just type so that it is not going to give anything as errors. And where I can just be mentioning, because I have mentioned like a primary key, I can go to that table, category table, and I can just copy this category ID, comma category name, underscore name. So now I'll be using values, and I'll be mentioning as because I want to explicitly mention like my primary key. I'm just mentioning that it is going to be one department will be E, and second department typically be CS, and probably I can copy this, and I can just say as 2, and I'm copying couple of values where I'm going to modify it, and 3 I'll just say as an IT, and this I'll just say as EC, and 5 as Mac. Okay, and sixth record as bio. So this is another way of setting like identity insert on, and then we are trying to uh, insert the data. So you can also see the results that all the 6 rows are inserted. So uh, now, since we have done with a lot of inserts, probably even in student table, we can also inject some data with the names, real names of a students. Now we will discuss on select statements, how we can see what is the data that is inserted. So over here we have used two tables, so address and demo category. We will use these two tables data in order to perform various select queries. So select we are trying to select from a particular table or address table, demo address. So I'll be taking this as my copy query. So if you want to select a particular row from a given table, in this example, I want to select as a, for example, like a country. If I want to select it, and what I will be doing is I have selected my country from my address table, where you can see like countries having various details. Oh, if I want to select another column like address one, I'll better type it in make a separate query, and I'll type it over here where I am interested in making it as address one. For example, if I want to display the values of address one as well, I can, sorry, address underscore one, that's a compilation issue. So I can just mention as an address one as over here. If I want to mention all the columns instead of one or two or three columns, if I want to mention all the columns explicitly, I can say as a select star from this table where I'll be mentioning all the columns. If I'm interested in creating some more columns, let us say I want to club my address one and address two into some different operations, and I want to display this result, and I want to display this as another column where I can use an aliases. I can mention as a new column. So if I have just try executing it, you will see that a new column has been created, which is a combination of address one and address two. If I also want to mention like all the columns, not just the country, along with all the columns, I can still do that operation where you can see like my new column is also created, and also I'm having my address one and address two, which is sorry, I can mention as an address too, so that that will give combination of two columns as a new one. So you can add some more data formatting like right trim, left trim, based on how you want to append the data or how you want to concat the data as. Uh, and if I have decided to get some distinct values, all I would be saying like for example, now if I display the value as a country, you can see that India is repeated, IN is repeated, CA is repeated. So if I want to know like how many of non-repeated values are existing in a database, then I need to use a command called distant. So if I run it, you typically get the results that CA, IN, NY are the only details that are there which are not repeated. Likewise, if I want to see like what is like overall count of records which are there in my table, I can just go with the count which says like 12. You can also use count on various other parts like grouping or anything like that. And if you are interested in finding, implicit values of, address for doing some validation, we can use length function on a particular field, along with all. I mean, you can optionally mention the details. I can just copy it from the previous command that can save time. From So if I execute this, now you see I'm able to get the length of each field for as probably I can mention as alias length of address one. So if I rerun this query, now you see like I'm able to see the length of my address one, which is going to be there. And if I am interested in finding the values of three records, then I can use this query very well. I can copy my base query, select star from address demo, and if I want to use my top top three records. Where I can typically say as run this query, and before running this query, if I just want to see like what are my details, you can see like all the details has come 1 to 10. Top 3 will just give me only those details. So I can also put that top 3, top or top five records. So I'm expecting learn university, play university, student address, another students, and another student up to Chennai address to be displayed. So if I run top five executes, now you can see that results of expected results. So you can also use the top with the percentage, where you can say like how much percentage that you are expecting. Let us say if I'm expecting like a top 1% percent of the data to retrieve it, I can just use this top 1%. I missed the column names, so that is the reason it has thrown error. So if I rerun this query, now you see like I'm getting top 1% because the total records without this percent, top 1%. If I run the queries, you see like there are roughly 12 records. And if I say like I want my top uh, let us say 50% of it, which means I'm expecting like six records. I can say as a top 50 percentage of it, which has exactly written the six records out of it. And I can also use this query top ties. So for that, I'll also be copying this query, and I'll also be mentioning as top uh, three with ties. Instead of percentage, all I will be mentioning as with ties, and I can just run this query again, where you can see. Uh, yeah, as you see, like this is only allowed in order by clause, so I'll be just mentioning order by uh, clause, and I'll be mentioning like I want to order by a particular field. Order by, I thought I can discuss that a little later, but not a problem. So the way how I want to order by is basically my country. So first we will see how what will happen to the data without this. By running all the records. Uh, by running all the records, you see like we have got all the 14 records, and the country, the currently the order it is taking as an address ID as an order, and it is incrementing. And if you want to change the order in which we want to display the country, then we have to supply that as a country. And again, over here you can see like it has taken this order. If you want to explicitly define an order, you can say as an ascending or descending. By default, the order was ascending, and if you want to, change the order, you can say as a descending. So you can use order on multiple columns as well, which we will discuss that a little later. For now, uh, to use with the top ties query, I'll just run it. Now you see I'm getting the ties based on the value that we have supplied. These are the values that it has matched, and it has pulled the data as. And let's see using a where clause. So I'll be selecting my previous statement, and in order to define the and clause, what we would be saying is let's select all the records. This is our base query, select star from demo records. And in order to include the where clause, we will be saying as a where. And what we would be mentioning is that what we are interested in. For example, like the column country, if I take a country for example, I want to get the data based on a field value, then I can go for my where clause. For example, if I want to mention all my records to get all my records uh, for which the country should be in, then I can pass that condition as where inside the where clause. And if I have a multiple conditions like this, and also I want to check for my records where I can say my address for value should contains again as uh, Delhi. So if I execute this query, then I get the result saying that there are two records out of 12 records. We have filtered the records, and we have identified the required details. Where clause is very important because we in a real-time production database we will be having millions of records. We will not always be saying like select star from. So we always select it using a where clause where we zeroed on our search criteria. If we want to use multiple conditions, let us say like address is in or where it can be either as Delhi or or Chennai. So it is always recommended to use the parenthesis to identify how you are trying to deal. So the parenthesis will take the first condition. So how the search works is it will check for the address for whether it is Chennai or Delhi first, and then it will apply for the country condition. So we can see that we have got the results, required results, and now let's see if we want the value to be mentioned as you know address 1 to be in either in Chennai instead of saying like multiple times or address 4, or we can just use in clause and we can just define that saying like address for values can be either Chennai or can be in Delhi. So this query will help us to retrieve all the details where the address for details, if you see it is in Chennai or Delhi. Yeah, and next one is on a like clause where we will be using to enter the wildcard characters. Let us say like when we are not very sure like how our data is, then we will go for like logs. For example, I don't know what my data is. I want to retrieve all my data which contains word I mean letters NN. Then I can say as pass that query as a NN where I'm getting like Chennai, for example, NN which contains I have got all the required list. So if I want to say that it should, you know, typically be like this, then if I run this query, the value which I will get over here is the start, which is having a C, and if I want to say like which will end with C, for example. If I give this query, now you will see like I may not get any results because none of the words is ending with as a C. Instead, if I say like I, both Delhi and Chennai ends with I, so I'll be expecting a query that will run as an I. I can also give a set of characters. Like I can also mention like a set of characters which it can be of more than one. For example, if I say like I want something to be, C and I. Then it will say as a the data that starts with C and ends with I. If I want to search anywhere, the value should be anywhere. Then I can give as an underscore, which can also follow this particular pattern. And if I am interested in saying like get me all the values that can have any value between A, B, C, which starts any set that starts as a uh, box of I want to display my starting characters as A, B, C. Anything that contains A, B, C, and D, uh, the word that starts with these letters, then I want to get all my list. You can see D starts with Delhi, C starts with Chennai, so I have got all the things. Let us do this for the address 3, so that you might end up with different results or no results at all based on the data what we have. Now you can see like for address 3 we have anywhere that is matching number as. um So if we want to apply for the negation operator, or if you want to say like anywhere between A to Z, for example, if you want to mention like anywhere between A to Z, then typically you should get all the information, all the 12 records that we have, because it matches this criteria. And if you want to zero down to certain criteria, saying like A to C, uh, and you want to say like you want only to include A to C, then what you can also do is you can use an uh, operator, or a negation operator, where we say like we want the results between A to C, but not to include any results between C to Z. So that is the reason you got this result. It's a different ways of using like operator. Now we can see how we can use between operator. So let me take my base query, which is select address. And if I want to use my between operator, all I can say is where my where I want to say I want to apply between operator on my ID, address ID, uh, where where I'll be saying as between. I want all my IDs between 6 and 8. I just want all these values. So if I say as get me all the records where my ID is between 6 and 18, which is an inclusive, so I get like 6 and as well as 8 as well. So this is the way in which I can use the between operation. Generally, we use between with the dates, where we mention like the date, and not operator. If for anything we can apply the not operator in any of the above examples, and we can say like not between. For example, if you want to say as it is not between 6 and 8, where you have to mention like where now you have got the results not between 6 and 8, but you have got rest of the results. So in that way, we can use these operators, and there are other operators that I have not covered, like a minimum, max, count, and sum, which I'll just now copy this query, and I can say as uh, if I want to use min operator. Uh, I can just say like what is my minimum ID. Generally, we apply these operations on pricing, where we have a value of price, and we want to find like what is the minimum value of it. So now I'll be using on address ID. So if I run this query on my address table, you can see that. This I have got like a minimum value of my record is 1, and I can club these operations, and also I can say like what is my maximum value inside it. Instead of writing multiple queries, I thought I can frame a single query, and you can now see the results as a minimum and maximum as 1 and 14. And if I want to say as a count, what is the count of all these operations, count star, I get like there are total count of 12 records. And if I want to say as an average, uh, average, where I'll be saying like my address ID. So if I run my account, you can see like the details are average, where I have got 8.66, uh, minimum, max, count, average, sum, and likewise we can use like sum as you. So these are mainly related to the statistics of uh, the values or the columns. Like likewise, you can use a length, which I think we have already discussed. You can also club other queries. For example, I like a length. If I want to measure it. Uh, now you can see for address one, I have got the details as incorrect. Where I want to club with the max query, then I can say like length of each field. I get the length of each field, out of which I'm trying to say like what is the maximum value for all the fields that are there. So I can club one or the other operations in it. In that way, I can use all these operations, and we can also see like how we can use like coalesce operation. So let's see how we can use this operations as a case first. It is typically used to display the results in a different format. For example, if I want to use on my address ID, where I want to check when my address ID is one, then I want to display, let us say like as a first record, uh, or say as a first record. Likewise, when I want to say when my address is 2, typically it is if a else or a switch case in Java as a second record, and 1 3, uh, then third. I'll not be typing all the records. So I'll just be saying as an end. When we'll go with the end, as I want to end that as same as an address ID. So end as an address ID, where you will be seeing that value as. This is for aliasing part, where you can mention anything over there, and you can say as remaining tables as a star from our table from. I'll just copy the table name. So if I run this query of my selecting this value, now you will see the data that you have seen for a newly created table, what we have named as probably for naming wise, I can say as a new modified modified uh, s- modified. So if modified, if I run this query, now you will see that the word whatever I have given as a modified has come over here for the first record, second record. It has picked it because there is no third record. It has skipped that value, and it has printed the remaining records. So in that way we can use the case, and if we are trying to use we can use case clubbed with the other queries as well. And generally coalesce is useful for validating whether the data contains the first value to be a null or not. If it is a null, it picks the second value. Again, if the second value is null, it picks the third value. So and so forth. It always gives you the non null value. Probably that is a better way of saying what coalesce operation can perform. uh, in address 4, we can see like there are a couple of null values. If I say like, select a null value and coalesce, if I just mention my word coalesce, is null, and if I just mention some random value and I say as a result, you if I run this query, now I got I mean these are the temporary tables where we can randomly get the values what we have entered it. So using Coalesce, I just want to demonstrate that you need not create a table at all, and you can still have the values to be displayed. And if the null is having anywhere else, then the operation will not, hamper it. It just picks the position of value, the first occurrence of the value, which is not null, and it will retrieve the details. That is the beauty of the coalesce, which typically can be used when you are trying to check for null cases or not, and based on that you want to like display the values. Next one in our list is a nullif. This is a little bit funny because nullif expression accepts two arguments and return null. If two arguments are typically are equal, otherwise it will just return the first value of the expression. So which we can typically see now. Where just like how I have used a temporary table result, in the same way I'll be using for nullif as well. So instead of coalesce, I'll be saying as a nullif if my value is 100 and 200, uh, I'll just remove the comma after 200, else it will throw the compilation error. So you can see that it has written 100, and if I say like both the values are same, then it will return null. And if I say my value is greater than or second value, no matter whether it is a greater than or less than the first value or greater than the second value, it always returns the first value. If the values are same, it will just return null. So that is the way in which you can see whether values is null or not. Generally, we use it in where clause, where we say like null if phone number is null or not a condition. Even I can use that over here, where we can say like any other condition, we can club other values as well with other statements like order by, group by. It can be clubbed. For example, if I want to address underscore 4 uh, is null. So if I run this query first, now you see like I'm getting all the values of address for where is it null. So how I can do this check is I can say as a nullif over here. Mm, when I say like a nullif, because it has to take like two arguments. The first argument is my actual value, and second argument, what I'm going to say is this. So now what happens over here is if I run this query, you see that we have got the same results where the results has not been changed. If I want to change this value uh, to something as uh, to something that I want to default it as then I need to go with the coalesce operator where I have to default this value, and then I'll be having a. So if I default that value to A, over here you can see that I have got all the details because my actual value, defaulted value, in order to show it on the screen, I can create another virtual column so that you see that the modify column which contains A for the null values. So in that way we can modify the data either while retrieving or while inserting the data from one table to another table. We can play around with the data in this particular fashion. And now let's move on with the other things that we have where we have to discuss on order and having offset, yeah, fetch. So now let's discuss on order by. So I'll take this example again. Uh, Select star. So if we want to like just say like order by clause, we can say as order by country. For example, if I want to display by country, all I can say is order by country. So I have got by default it comes in ascending order, and if you want to change the order, you can say as a descending, where the order has now been changed. And if you see it, Chennai, Delhi has come. And if I want to, order that with a multiple columns, this is ordering with a single column, passing the order. Probably I'll just type that over there so that it can be useful for you when you're referring. Single column with for single column. So if I want to, like if I want to use multiple columns, then I can use our address and as well as address for. I want to sort based on those two columns. Now you can see like uh, it should be a comma. Sorry, that's a typo error. So now you can see like address 4 is being sorted and same as country. And if I want to change the order, like uh, how I can say is I want my country to be displayed in descending and as well as my address to be displayed in descending, then I can mention like both the orders. Or if I want my country to be in ascending order, then I can just say as ascending, ASC, ascending order. So if I run this query now, you can see the values are being in ascending order. Likewise, you can use the expressions which we have discussed earlier. I with select queries. Likewise, the same thing we can apply in here as well. So, for example, if I want to use length of address for based on length of my address for, if I want to like sort it in descending order or ascending order, I can uh, just use that expressions as well, and I'll get the data over here. Like you can see like the data has been uh, ordered in a where it was retrieving based on my country first, and based on the match then it retrieves, and then it sets whichever the value has happened. So if I say like country order first this, and then country later, y- now you will see that the value will pick in a different order. So it is always important that you mention like what has to be sorted first, and then if you find any match, then what has to be done later. So that is another example that I want to discuss on. And if you just want to take the order based on the cardinal positions, where typically you can just say like order by 1 and 2 instead of just saying like all these things, which automatically 1 and 2 represents like the column names, like first column and second column, whichever the value that is present, sorry, by clause is missing, order by 1 and 2. So if I run it, you can see that 1 represents my address ID, 2 represents my second column. So if I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so if I just say like order by 7, then 4. So instead of mentioning manually saying what to be ordered, now you can see like these values are in ordered list. So that's how you can use the order by. And let's move on to other two topics, where group by and having, and also we'll discuss on offset. So let's see offset now. Let's copy this select order by country, and let's go to the offset. So in order to use offset, you should club that by using order as well. So that is the reason of copying that order. Now I'll just say as an offset, I want to display like two records. Initially, we'll run this one. So selecting this country, if I run this query, you see like we have got all the records, all the 12 records in descending, sorry, in ascending order based on the country. So if I want to, only take like first two records out of it, then I can just say like, I mean, I have to remove first two records out of it. I have to say like offset two, and I have to also mention like the rows which I forgot. If I run it now, you see like I'm getting apart from first two, I'm getting the rest of the details. So let's closely observe the details, how we are getting it. So for the first one, you see like 5 and 7. If I want to say like I don't want 5 and 7, but I want the remaining details, then we go for an offset. So uh, offset, whichever the number that we refer, those are will not be included in the database. It is an opposite to the top clause. In top clause, we will say like we want only top of something. Offset is something like works in opposite of a top class. You can just say like what you don't want. We don't want a top 10, then we can just say like offset 10 rows. So offset can also be clubbed with fetch, where we can say like how many rows one have to fetch, where I can say as fetch nest uh, three three rows. In this way, what I can do is, so you can see that I have executed this query, where we have got only three results. So let's see how we can work with group by. So in order to use the group by clause, I'm just trying to take this statement, And we can use the group by clause on a particular field. For example, we have a country, uh, or we have address for, where I'll take the address for as an example, address for column as an example. For address for column, we have already seen like count example, and I'm trying to give my address ID. Uh, so what I'm trying to do is I want to group all my customers from my address table, where I'm trying to say like they are being going to be grouped by my this column, where I'll be saying as group by the column value. And if I run this query, I can will get typically the following results, where you see like when address 4 is null, I'm having like four records which are null, and for Chennai there are say six records, and for Delhi there are two records. In that way, I can use my group by clause. I can also use group by with other clauses like a order by clause. For example, if I'm going to say like order by address for, because that is the only field that is available in my result set. Uh, if I say that, I can now get the results. Sorry, and there is a small typo error again. I have given that as a comma. So if I run it, now you will see that I have got the results in this way. Or if you want to, change it to be descending, then you will see like null to be in the last value. So in that way, we can use group by along with the order by clause. And let's see how we can use having clause. Generally, this having clause can help us to identify the duplicate details and remove the duplicates. So let's copy this group by, because you cannot have having directly. You have to use group by. Uh, so I have just copied that, and saying having address for. I'll just say that for this clause, I'll just say like address for equal to. Uh, I'll just say as Chennai, Chennai, Chennai. If I run this query, you can see that results of this particular thing, uh, where I'm having all my results addresses is equal to 6. So that is the use of address, and how we can use to identify the duplicates. So let's copy this statement again, and in order to find the duplicates, where we'll be saying as you can also club order by statement, but generally we will be saying like having, uh, where we will be saying as a count star, because we have that count over there. uh, uh, we can just say as a count ID or count star greater than 1, or so when we execute this query, we get the result saying like this, and we will be able to identify all the values based on the value that we are looking for. Like you can enter multiple columns like address one, address two. Based on that match, it will be able to identify the columns, and hence we will be able to delete with that. So for today, these are the things that we have discussed, and in the upcoming videos, we'll cover other topics as well. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.